I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a good guy.
Who the hell do you think you are?
I'm the guy. This is my yard now.
The following announcement's been paid for by the Savvo N Stubby Show.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
What is up, wrestling fans? It's me. It's S-T-U-B-B. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty minion himself, Stubby. And I am joined in studio, or on the phone, with my colleagues. He is the enigmatic, charismatic, Greek mystique. He is Mr. Peanut himself, Savvo the Savior. How you doing, Savvo?
Really? Again, I get the Mr. Peanut thing? Alright, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, thank you. and for the second week in a row, we are blessed and honored to be joined by the original J-O-E, Big Joe himself.
Woo-hoo! What WrestleMania week we had under our belt, and boy, do we got a lot to talk about, fellas.
I wanted to keep it light on the actual WrestleMania itself because at this point we've already listened and watched about 37 hours worth of WrestleMania content, I'm sure. And I'm sure anyone that's listening probably doesn't want to hear about it too much, so what we can do is we can touch base on the actual Mania itself, but go into what the results, what has come out of it and what we most likely will see going forward.
Sounds good.
So, with no pun intended, who wants to take the reins on this one?
Let's stop and get it started, because I'll be here all night.
Hey, Joe, I think
it's okay. We're looking at
Joe, your volume's a little low on your side.
How about now?
Much better.
Okay, overall, the WrestleMania 33, I thought it was decent, it was good, it wasn't the best it could have been. I didn't want Ambrose to retain his title. Thought Corbin should have won that one.
I think it had the right place on the card, being on the pre-show for that, at least.
Yeah, there wasn't really much to that match. It just didn't seem like it had anything behind it,
Which is ironic, because on Smackdown, their match there was 10 times better than what it was on the pre-card.
Much better, I agree.
Yeah, it was, totally. What else we have? We have the four-way women's match, the Universal title for Raw. Okay, regardless of Bayley winning, I don't give a shit if she won, whatever, but Charlotte should have freaking kicked out after that first fucking Macho Man elbow, whatever the fuck. It's like, it was just too predictable.
You know what's cool?
Just kick out one time, and then fucking do it,
No, you know
it just seemed like...
I
think they were trying to cut away from that.
You know what would have been good? Stone Cold talked about this on his podcast, the art of the 3-count kick out. If you're not going to let her kick out, at least sell it like she almost beat the count and have her kick out at 3.
Well, fellas, I think in that situation there, Bayley going over basically put the dagger in Charlotte on Raw. I think Charlotte will be moving to Smackdown now to become the face of the women's division there. So I think that's where we're headed. Bayley, just whether you like her or not, just like Reigns, Bayley's the new face of the women's division, and she's the main face of the women's division going forward.
Yeah, but that's the thing for everybody that loves Bayley. Okay, I'm not like talking crap or whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying, why is she always got to look like she's about to cry during an interview, like she's so afraid or I mean, I don't know. I think she needed to go back to NXT for another 6 months or something. I still don't see it. I just don't see it. I'm trying, but I just don't see a champion there. It needs more time to develop.
I think the point is, and you know what, I do notice that as well. But I think that's part of the character. I think that's what Dusty Rhodes was going for when he developed the Bayley character, is what she's doing now.
Full disclosure, Savvo does not like Bayley.
And she's talked about it, and sometimes she's trying to change things up on it, and be a little bit different here and there. But Dusty Rhodes told her before he died, don't ever change what I've given you. And he was, hey, it's taken her to a victory at WrestleMania, so can't complain. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. It's the John Cena effect of the situation.
This women's tournament can't come fast enough because this depleted roster of the same women wrestling each other, you kind of have to move Charlotte over to SmackDown at this point, but we're still going to sit idle until they start bringing talent back.
Yeah, well, I think I'm interested to see who comes, because there are some of the better women wrestlers in the world still out there. I know, which I haven't really gotten a review from him about it yet. Maybe we'll be able to talk about it on future show. But my brother went to go see Shimmer while he was in Orlando, and sounded like it was a pretty good time. So some of those women, are going to be coming into the WWE in this tournament. And, they're only going to be contracted for this tournament, but they're going to decide who they're going to want to keep and who they're not going to want to keep. The thing I'm excited about with it is they're getting away from trying to find the model and turn her into the wrestler and going back to those women who want to be wrestlers.
And maybe with all the female talent coming in, maybe they'll dedicate there's an hour or whatever to like a women's show on the network, like you were talking about, Stubby.
Hey Joe, do you have a headset on?
Yeah.
Because I'm getting a slight feedback from your headset.
Sorry.
It's almost like, I don't know if it's like noise cancellation, but it like for a second it cuts out noise, then it adds noise. I don't know how much of that's being picked up on the mic. There was rumored talk that, I don't know if she was just hinting it or joking it, but Beth Phoenix may be coming back for a match or two.
Well, sometimes I expect that, just like Trish came back.
Yeah,
it happens from here.
She was the guest on Edge and Christian's podcast this morning, and she hinted that she loves the direction that WWE is going with this women's, they call it a revolution, but I really don't see a revolution at this point. Not to downplay the women's wrestling, because you look back 15 years ago, or you look at even at the Mania match when they had all those women in that battle royal. I mean, they didn't even announce the women's names; they just had everyone in the ring.
Well, I was at WrestleMania, wasn't I? The Santino Morello one.
Yeah.
That was Houston. I was there.
Yeah, and see, and Jerry Lawler even made a joke that he didn't realize that Sonny was even in the match.
The audience did, because I remember reacting, because I don't know if you remember, Stubby, but I had that mighty nice Sonny shirt back in 8th grade.
Yeah. So,
the wrestling kids sitting at the back table.
So I'm excited to see some of the talent that moved from NXT over to Raw and SmackDown, and I'm sure we're going to cover it in detail. What were your guys' takeaways from WrestleMania? I mean, obviously the best match I would have to say would be the Shane and AJ Styles match, which surprisingly, on paper, was the one that we had the most shit talking about.
Well, not for me. I expected it to be the match of the night, regardless. I think those first four matches, and I don't understand the thinking behind it, but WWE literally went from their best match to their, almost worst match in order. And they did it on purpose. And I think what it was they put all the exciting stuff out there first so that, 3-4 hours into the show, it would totally kill off the crowd and maybe take away from some of the heat that Roman was going to get. Obviously, that didn't happen. So, yeah.
The match for AJ and Shane started out very sloppy, and I was already like hands to my face thinking this was going to be a shit match. Some of the exchange that AJ really had to pick up a lot of what Shane was putting down sloppy. But then it started getting better, and then it turned out to be a damn good match. And I know a lot of that credited to Shane itself. But I know these guys were working behind the scenes together, practicing the result for the show.
Well, I'm pretty sure AJ Styles could take a sack of potatoes to a 5-star match too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody keeps talking about, I was just reading before we got on the air, moving Roman Reigns to SmackDown while John Cena's gone, blah, 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 to bring over these people that they're not going to watch SmackDown because John Cena's not on SmackDown. John Cena has hardly been on SmackDown. AJ Styles has been carrying that show. And why? Because he's continually put on 5-star matches time and time again every month.
Vince...
Even against Dean Ambrose he did, yeah.
Vince knows the secret, and I'm sure you and I, or all three of us, are catching on to this. At this point, it doesn't matter who they put on the show. Fans are going to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as much as I don't like the results of how Raw has been playing out, I still watch it.
Yep.
So to say that fans are going to stop watching it because John Cena's not there is bull. Because, like you said, he hasn't been there for half the year.
Yeah. What I realized this year at WrestleMania, I think my biggest takeaway from WrestleMania, now that it's starting to sink in, actually is this. WWE is going to use everything against you to push forward what they think is best for their company. That being Roman Reigns, which I know we're going to talk about a lot later. But in this situation, I'm going to talk about the fans. They know, regardless of if they put him out there every month and shove him down people's throats.
Giggity.
People who don't like him, they can chant at him, whatever. Those guys are the ones that are still going to watch. Because that's me, that's you, that's Savvo. That's, those are the guys that will eat, sleep, and breathe WWE. Who they're trying to attract, especially with WrestleMania, is those who don't watch all the time. So they're going to tell those people, oh, look, this guy gets the best reaction. Go buy his stuff. They come to see him. This is the guy you should watch. And those casual fans are probably going to go, some of them are going to say, yeah, bullshit. Other ones are going to go, yeah, that's right. Let's go watch this guy. And these fans seem to hate him. Let's go find out why they hate him. And they're going to keep selling that until they can keep adding up profit. Hell, look at, you had the most watched WrestleMania in the history of time this time.
What sucks, too, is Roman Reigns is really taking the heat for this. And I'm sure this is not the direction he wants to go. I'm sure he's a damn good guy. I mean, I listened to his interview with Jericho, and he seems like a down-to-earth guy. But he's taken on the role that WWE is giving him. And he's taking it on the chin, too. They put him in some pretty shitty situations.
The Daniel Bryan situation. Why would you do that? You wanted to build him up. I don't understand it. Sending him out there for that Royal Rumble again. Again, we could talk about that all day. That was again strategically placed because that crowd again was going to boo the shit out of Randy Orton. But sending Roman Reigns out there made that crowd ease off.
Yeah, but he's
WWE,
making the best of a bad situation. I mean, you look at this. I mean, he was so over on Monday night, and I know it was in a negative way, but whether you boo or cheer him, you're still reacting. And to sit there
and I don't like that.
but to sit there and get a reaction for 15 minutes, and all you have to do is say, "This is my yard now."
This is my yard now.
And to get the reaction that you got, we haven't seen something like that since the 80s.
I don't like that analogy. I just hate the fact that they say, "Oh, he got a reaction." You take away the fan's voice. They're using the fan's voice against the fan. The only way that we can express that the fans love or hate somebody is by cheering for them or booing for them. And by saying, "Oh, he got a reaction," they booed him, he's still great, says absolutely nothing. 90% of the crowd cannot stand this guy. There's this whole thing now about, "Oh, he's the top merchandise seller and all fans are wearing his gear." Again, bullshit. WWE is putting out strategic markers out there for casual fans to come in and eat up Roman Reigns, because they're trying to turn him into what? The next John Cena, the next Hulk Hogan, the next Ultimate Warrior. Guys who, yeah, maybe they did carry the business for a while, but just could not go.
But I can counter your argument there, because if you really did not want this guy to get over as a casual fan, or even as a fan that doesn't like him, don't make any noise. They do it for 205 Live, and this time's at NXT where there's no noise. So I mean, if you really want the guy,
on top of that, the whole crowd was like so obnoxious. They're gonna, whether it's cheering or booing or whatever, no matter what, they're just too. I was starting to get annoyed with it. It was going on too long and too just throughout the whole damn show. It was like, to me, it was like kind of disrespectful in a way. It's like these guys are trying to concentrate not to fucking kill each other and mess up on a move or whatever. And
right, and Vince doesn't care because he's
getting annoying.
Vince doesn't care because he's filling airtime. That's still 15 minutes.
It's the post-WrestleMania crowd. You know exactly how they're going to be. Okay, you minus that particular crowd out of it, and you go into any other building, and you get the big boos. If you put a Cena entrance side by side with the Roman Reigns entrance, they are completely different. In Cena's entrance, in the beginning, you'll hear that pop of the little kids, and the women go, crazy. There is not that when a Roman Reigns music hits. All it is boos. You look at that audience, the little kids are booing him. So some of the chicks are cheering for him because, they think he's hot. Hell, I don't know if you guys read the article by that girl who watched wrestling for the first time at WrestleMania, and she sat there and she
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, what did she say about him? Ooh, he's hot. So, yeah, they have the reason to cheer for him for being hot. But for the most part, the vocal majority is not liking this guy. And they're doing everything in their power to change that.
Which is fine. Not everybody can get over, but the fact that he's getting a reaction, period, in my book, it may not be your book, but in my book, the fact that he's getting a reaction is still a positive, because you're getting an emotion, you're getting a reaction.
And you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt too. It's like it all goes back to like freaking when Austin was around, and with all the what thing, everybody's yelling what. I mean, that got so overdone. It's fucking annoying to me. It's just like they just want to be heard, and whether it's like Kurt Angle when he comes out and they're saying you suck. They don't really think he sucks. They're just going along with what fits, what goes with the theme music of his music.
Well, let's not oversaturate.
Just like John Cena.
Let's not oversaturate this topic. Let's not oversaturate the topic, because I want to use that as part of the hot topic for later in the show. But I mean, there were a lot of things that WWE did at that Mania that fell short. Like, I was surprised to see when John Cena proposed, the reaction of the fans were really not that big. It was it was an unmemorable match, and just as much a forgettable proposal.
we're not going to react to that well, no matter what. I've been to 8 WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, you may be filling that place with 70,000 people, and, you know, there's going to be a large group of the local fans there, but more than that, there's going to be people from all over the world, and those hardcore fans just fill that place. And let's face it, WrestleMania weekend should be for the hardcore fans. You should cater to those fans that are going there paying all that money. And John Cena's just not somebody they care about. If The Miz would have won that match, that proposal probably would have went over better, because the fans would have been happy that The Miz won. And then they would have been excited to see something crazy happen after that.
Yeah, the writing staff,
And let's face it,
I don't understand the direction of the writing staff, honestly.
let's face it, too, the other thing is that it was just such a shitty proposal.
I don't think they should ever do a wedding or whatever proposal or a wedding or whatever. I mean, okay, what they did it with Macho Man.
Oh yeah!
And then who was it, Lita or somebody or something? Anyway, every time it's pretty lame in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing.
And it's like, why? I know they're trying to get the John Cena fans, the Bella fans, whatever, but to me it never works. It's just fucking lame.
Well, here's the thing. The proposal, obviously Nicky knew about it long before he was going to actually do it on the show. I think part of his interview, or part of his promo there was a shoot. I think when she went in to go get her surgery, he probably did initially propose to her because, he realizes that she's been through thick and thin. He didn't know how serious the surgery was going to be. She probably felt like she was going to retire at that point. So he probably proposed to it then, and they kept it under wraps. So to try to reenact something as I don't know the word, monumentous as a proposal, when it's not real, I mean, you can see it.
Yeah.
And the fact that fans knew this months going in that this was going to happen kind of took away from it too. And that led me to that whole thing I was talking about, has the internet ruined wrestling? Because if we had no knowledge that he was going to propose to her, you probably would have got a bigger pop.
Yeah, because everybody going in, they're like, oh my God, what a surprise. And I'm like everybody in that mama didn't know that was going to happen.
I mean, did he have the ring in his jorts the whole time?
I know. I was wrestling with this thing in the show. I mean, it could be done.
Yeah, well, second most pockets of any WWE superstar on the roster. So.
Yeah, I was saying, didn't Edge have a lot of pockets too? Oh no, the Hardys, huh? Team Extreme.
No, the Hardys. Yeah. Woo! Welcome back to Hardy Boys. Everybody.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! A big secret. No, again, we all expected that too. Actually, I expected it Monday, but for the WrestleMania it was a surprise.
Well, here's the thing too. Honestly, if you knew the guys were coming back, why not wait until the gimmick's cleared and bring them back as Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero? I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of Team Extreme. I'm really not.
They're going to have a few months of court battles still ahead of them, and the contract is signed now, so you might as well use it while it's hot and lead into it, because maybe you'll get a whole new view of how they get into the character.
I wanted to see the reaction from Enzo and Cass when they found out that the Hardys were there. They were probably like, motherfucker. They knew they just lost their spot at Mania.
I loved it when they came out. That was cool. I mean, I knew there was, of course, the possibility of them coming and stuff, but I honestly didn't think they would, just because of the legal bullshit going on and all that. But I mean, they didn't do the broken angle. But
it's funny.
I think that was the best match on the card.
It's funny too because they went back to their hotel after the tailgate. Matter of fact, I got some pictures my brother sent me from the tailgate. They got a couple of Jeff and Matt. But at the tailgate, they went back to the hotel, and they're like, somebody asked them at the hotel, like, what are you guys going to do? And Jim goes, I'm going to go take some aspirin and lay down in my room. Because, they said he was actually still very hurt from the night before.
Oh, you can see it.
I haven't got a chance. Yeah. I haven't got a chance to see it yet. I need to go back and watch it. But everybody says go back and watch that match with the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. So we should all do that.
So, there's this talk, and let's go right into Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, because like I said, everyone's already heard every angle of the WrestleMania results. And I noticed we had our lowest viewing this last episode, and I think a lot of that was because it was oversaturation of WrestleMania. But with this superstar shakeup, what is the likelihood that the Hardys go to SmackDown and win the tag team titles there too? Are we seeing a cross-brand belt thing, or are they going to stay on Raw?
As far as I know, because of the shakeup, they're gonna wheel and deal, as I may have mentioned last week on the show, that I was hoping it would be like, where they're gonna negotiate contracts and trades and stuff like they do in actual sports. As far as I know, it sounds like one of the biggest rumors out there, besides Charlotte, is the New Day will go over and become the new face of the SmackDown division because they need some help over there. They're just not getting it at this point, even though they probably have the best tag team on the roster. Well, now that we had that call-up, we got two good tag teams, but American Health was damn good in the ring. And maybe we'll see some new feuds for New Day, and the Hardys will be the face of Raw, and they got Gargano and no, not Gargano. Come on, guys, help me out here.
Dash and Dawson.
The Revival.
The Revival.
They got the Revival to feud with the Hardys for a while.
And just another.
Yeah, who's gonna feud with New Day?
Well, another rumored call up from NXT is going to be Cien Almos and the Wanderer.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
And the Wanderer is coming over too.
But Cien Almos, something happened. They're not exactly reporting what that caused him to be delayed.
Oh yeah, there was I don't know if it was a gimmick or if it was a shoot, but he was seen at the club there partying even after his loss at NXT.
Uh-huh.
And Tom Phillips was joking and saying that, if this guy spent more time on his in-ring abilities instead of his partying life, he'd probably be more successful. So I don't know if that was just an angle where they're going to make him like this playboy, or if that was really him not, being mature enough to realize.
Maybe he's going to be the new leader of the Rosebuds or some shit.
I hope not. He's a great talent. That's a waste.
Yeah, well,
there was talk of possibly Seth Rollins coming over to SmackDown. But supposedly his feud with Triple H is over now that, there's nothing more to prove, basically.
Right.
Well, yeah, Triple H is always done after WrestleMania. We're going to see him a couple times here and there. Stephanie's off of Raw for a little while they let Angle marinate with the fans. And how hilarious was Kurt Angle this week? Oh my God! I missed the humor. He plays it so well.
That's not how you spell soft.
I was dying.
The best one is that with that little cowboy hat.
Hey, going back on the whole topic of Vince pushing wrestlers down your throat, I listened to Angle's interview today with Chris Jericho, and he stated when he originally came to WWE, Vince told him that I want you to go out there and I want you to, the fans are going to boo you, and Angle's like, they're not going to boo me. I'm an Olympic, hero. I won a gold medal. And Vince is like, trust me, they're going to boo you. And he told him that we're going to keep pushing you to be a heel, and eventually they will boo you. So that whole mentality's been going on for at least the last 20 years.
Well, it's the same thing with Hogan. People were fed up with Hogan for I don't know how long, and he just kept going back to it. It was like, damn. The only time they got the relief was the year when Savage won the title, which they planned out in advance just so that they could have Hogan win the title back from him. Like there was, I guess there was failed attempts in there too, because when Vince told Hogan, a Warrior's going over you, we're going to put the belt on Warrior, and he's going to carry the company, and Hogan goes, okay, but in 6 months you're going to be calling me back. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Don't expect Kurt Angle to be wrestling anytime soon. According to him on the podcast, he still hasn't been asked by Triple H or Vince to take a physical. So he's more of an ambassador slash GM role for the immediate future.
That was funny when Teddy Long came out. It's like, no, you didn't get it. You're not the GM.
I don't expect to see Kurt Angle in a WWE ring until at least next WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's going to be some time. I know. I think I got shit from all you guys on the Savvo and Stubby group page when I said that Kurt Angle didn't look like he was ring ready.
I didn't comment on that. He looks kind of big.
I mean, he's definitely, he put on some mass, but like whenever he was given the gimmicks there at the Hall of Fame, he can barely turn his neck. It could have been the suit, but I don't think he's ring ready.
No, he said it in the thing. He said, I can't turn my neck. From the neck surgery.
Yeah. And then they were saying, well, I think my one of the guys from the Wetback and Crack of Power Hour was like, yeah, he's been having matches around the world. Yeah, you can have matches around the world. Doesn't mean they're quality matches, and doesn't mean that you're not hurting.
Yeah. But he's going to need this. He's going to put on some funny stuff, you know. He just looks happy.
Yeah, he is happy. He said...
He was still delivering when he was in TNA.
Right.
He wasn't having bad matches.
Right, but you look at the Hardys, they're still delivering, but you can tell they're hurting. I mean, they're not moving like they used to.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, they took all... I'm going to say it. They took all of Jeff's drugs away.
Yeah.
The jump off onto Cesaro and Sheamus. That was pretty crazy.
Well,
Killed himself.
There was jokes that, like, whenever the camera's not on Jeff, he's over there talking to the ring announcer, asking if he has any kind of drugs on him. You know, like a Percocet or...
Shit. Sure it's not that heroin that he was shipping out? Oh, sore subject.
So, let's talk about these call-ups. We'll start with Monday Night Raw. What'd you guys, your first take on the Revival?
Them and the Hardys are going to put on some 5-star matches. I don't know if we'll see one on TV, but get to the house shows, folks, because those are going to be, like, probably the best part. Because they're going to also send out Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman as your main event.
It's funny, looking at the Revival, they are probably the closest resemblance of, like, the old school tag team matches from, like, the early or the late 80s, early 90s of those, like, no gimmick.
They're like the Brainbusters.
Yeah.
They totally remind me of Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in that early stage.
Which is, I hope WWE keeps it that way, because they've been consistent through NXT like that.
I'm sure they will. I'd like to see them against, like, Sheamus and Cesaro, or even Anderson and Gallows. That'd be pretty good.
Since we're on the topic of tag teams, we'll only touch on it for a quick second, but I see, was it Simon Gotch was released?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but he was a dickhead anyways. After the Sacramento pay-per-view, we walked into Buffalo Wild Wings and found a group of the wrestlers sitting at the table. I remember, like, going, oh shit. I kind of like, because I was pretty drunk. And, and I just remember Gotch was just, like, didn't want anything to do with any kind of fan. Nobody was going to talk to him anyway, so it didn't really matter. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm going to talk to you anyways. I don't bug wrestlers when they're eating dinner as it is. But he just, totally had a bad attitude. So after that, I was like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, that was kind of the instance that Savvo and I had when we went to a house show in Stockton a few years back. The Shield was not even quite popular yet. They were just making their way into the business, and we ran into Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose at In-N-Out Burger in Manteca. And Rollins and Reigns were inside In-N-Out, but Dean wasn't there. And I asked him if we can get a picture with them. And they were just standing around. Their food wasn't ready. They were just waiting, and they're with attitude. He's like, dude, can we at least get our food first? And so we're just standing there staring at him. Like, at that point, it's kind of awkward. So we left, and as we're walking in the parking lot, Ambrose was walking over from Carl's Jr., and I asked him if I could take a picture with him, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, sure, no big deal. And it's just like, seriously.
Some people are...
It's just weird because they weren't really anybody at that point. The fact that I'm acknowledging you should be enough as a fan.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was funny because I came out of the bathroom and they were in line, and I was like, because they were wearing regular clothing, and I saw Roman Reigns, and I was like, wait a minute, holy shit, that's fucking Roman. Oh shit, that's Seth Rollins. That was pretty cool though. But yeah, it takes like 8 minutes, 10 minutes to get your food from In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Until we get our food. Why can't we just fucking step outside and take a picture and leave you guys alone?
And Colby's just sitting there playing. Colby's just sitting there playing on his phone the whole damn time.
I've been in the vicinity of Seth Rollins back in his Ring of Honor days because I used to go to a lot of independent shows, and I've never. I told you guys last week. I've never liked the guy. So I know that. I've never been around Roman, though, so I wouldn't know. But I did, that night, also sitting at the table was Heath Slater. That was the night that they won the tag team titles. Or no, they hadn't. That's not the night they won the tag team titles, but they had won the tag team title match. So they were still champions. Heath was pretty cool. I sent him over a beer. I told the bartender, I said, send that guy over there a beer. And he came over and he shook our hands and said goodnight and everything. And because we made the whole joke, we got kids too. he found it funny, and he said thank you, and he was perfectly cool about everything.
Oh, cool.
What was the other call up there on Raw? I didn't get to watch the whole Raw.
Dillinger?
No, Dillinger was on Smackdown. Was it just Revival?
Yeah, it was just a Revival.
Okay, well then I'm going to jump to Smackdown because, Joe, I think you talked about this on the Savvo N Stubby group page that Dillinger's just going to job out on SmackDown. I think he's going to have a big year. I'm hoping that he's going to get a fresh start.
Yeah, I think we're going to be back here in 365 days, and he's going to be doing. I think he'll still, because he's taken the perfect 10 gimmick.
10.
Bar where the fans love it, but it's just not going to push it. It's just not. It's just. I don't know what it is. It's just. I even read up some articles saying that he's just going to be a glorified jobber. He's going to be a step above the normal jobbers.
But I mean,
and that's that. But I will say this: he got win number 1. So hey, there's a positive.
I mean, some people say that. He wrestled Kurt Hawkins though too. That's kind of a gimme. But some people say that. It's that being in front of the larger crowds that some people just get it, and maybe working at NXT just wasn't a big enough crowd for him. But he definitely has the look.
The way he came across with that NXT crowd behind him. Hey, the one positive he did have on his back is for a very low-key SmackDown crowd, because unfortunately SmackDown got the shit end of the stick being the final show of a 5-day trek.
Oh yeah, people were exhausted.
Everybody had hangovers and everything. He got a hell of a reaction.
Well, I mean, you look at Sami Zayn. He's been on the main roster for, almost 2 years now? He's jobbing out, but he's also not main eventing, but he's fighting main event caliber talent. And even when he loses matches, he's still getting over. So I see Ty Dillinger in that awkward position where that might be what he needs to get that momentum going.
Well, we'll see. Maybe you're right, but I don't think many people think too highly of him. And I just, like I talked a bit about my brother, the other night as we were going over the show after I picked him up from the airport. He was like, really, that's all he is. Even in NXT, he was a glorified jobber.
Oh yeah, I mean that's because they ran out of ideas for him. It's kind of hard to build a program with a guy that really doesn't have a gimmick that could be programmed with anybody else.
But then again, Dolph Ziggler's a glorified jobber too, and he's been World Heavyweight Champion. So.
Well, imagine the perfect 10 gimmick versus someone like The Miz. You got two guys that are not cocky, but they're very confident in what they do. I think if you place them with the right guy and with the right skill set, you might actually get a decent match out of them.
Hey, if we're going to bring up The Miz, then let's get into the whole subject of the other debut on SmackDown, because, oh my God, that being the first feud with The Miz, it's going to be, let me steal this one from Bobby Roode, it's going to be glorious.
Are we talking about the Shinsuke?
But it's, yes, sir.
Are we talking about the 10-minute entrance to get to the fucking ring?
I had to say,
what's going on with these entrances, man? They're like taking too long.
I watched people casual fans who had no idea who Shinsuke Nakamura was, and they went bananas over it. They went absolutely nuts. They wanted to know who he was. They had to watch him. They had to go back and check things out. So WWE made it perfect. And if his first feud is going to be against The Miz, then who better to get him over? The Miz is doing the best work of his career right now. And imagine his heelness and his talking ability to putting over Nakamura, who is not going to talk as much.
Well, that's where I got to put a spoke in your wheelhouse there, because that seemed like a very empty interaction on SmackDown. Miz didn't interrupt it. He didn't interact. He walked out of the ring. Shinsuke didn't interact with him, and I get it. They're trying to let the audience get a feel for him first. But there was no indication that was actually a feud or a.
Miz is going to take it personally.
But wouldn't you think he would have done it there on Talking Smack that night?
I think they had a lot to do that night. Coming off of the WrestleMania weekend, so I think we're going to hear from him this week.
And then how do you get back-to-back debuts? They both fell flat. You have Kurt Hawkins calling out talent in the back locker room. I would have, when he says, I'll give you to the count of 10 to have somebody come out, I would have counted up from 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, and when I got to 10, play the music, not immediately play the music. There was no time to react.
Yeah, it happened too fast, yeah. I agree with that.
I feel like writing just got lazy
I don't
there.
know. I don't agree about it being flat, either one of them. The Nakamura thing was deafening. I put it on the surround sound.
Oh, no, not the reaction that the fans got. When I say flat, it fell flat on that. I didn't think there was any kind of build between him and The Miz. I thought it was just him making a debut. I think the fact that fans were expecting him to be on Raw is what made it pop even more. Because it's good to see him on SmackDown, but are we even 100% confident that all the people that made their debuts are going to be on that brand after next week?
Yeah, I don't think that any of those people who made the debuts will be traded. This is not going to be like a big shake-up thing. Like, there's going to be a shake-up, but it's not going to be a lot. There's going to be like a couple of moves, a couple of trades, and that's it. Like a trade deadline in football, because there's never very many trades that happen there. It's going to be like, you're going to see like Charlotte and Alexa Bliss switch places. You're going to see New Day go for something. Obviously, an Alexa Bliss and Charlotte straight up trade it is not worth it. So there'll be a couple of other names that go with it. But, that's what the shakeup's going to be. It's not, we got to start thinking of it as a draft where the whole rosters are going to go. It's just going to be a few names. And yeah, there's probably going to be a shock. There's talk that they're going to send AJ Styles to Raw, which I really, really hope they don't, because I'm expecting Nakamura Styles main event for SummerSlam. But I mean, that's just the rumor out there.
And just because I don't want to,
what would the point be of sending New Day to SmackDown? I mean, to go against who? There's no. They got to try. Hey, they got to try to liven up the SmackDown division somehow. Because they did such a great job as WrestleMania hosts, they barely even knew they were there.
All right, well, guys, I don't want to draw this into a long 2-hour episode, so let's get to a couple more topics. One that kind of has me thinking: are we done seeing the Taker in action? I mean, do we really truly believe that was his swan song?
Yeah, he's going. He's going to get his hip surgeries, and once that's done, he's done.
Because he almost didn't
seem... I think he's done too.
He didn't seem confident that he was ready to go, because for a minute there, I thought they were actually going to do the gimmick that you were talking about, Joe, about having druids come out and carry him off. Because he laid in that ring for a long time. And it almost seemed like he was contemplating whether or not this was going to be his out.
I'm pretty confident that it's over. He just can't go. You can see he tried, and about 5 minutes into the match, it was over. He couldn't go anymore. He couldn't even help Reigns pick him up. It was sad.
Yeah, that was a little sloppy there.
So, I personally, as much as I love the Undertaker character, we all have for 20 some odd years, it's over, Mark. It's over. Let it be.
Now, like I was asking Savvo about this, do you think the Undertaker gimmick is done, or do you think him as a whole is done?
Him as a whole is done.
You don't think we'll see...
Nobody will ever be an Undertaker again.
Right, but you don't think we'll see a Mark Calloway? You don't think we'll see a Mark Calloway on television tapings or television shows?
I don't think no.
The American Badass.
I think you'll see the man again. I don't know in what they would do with him, but he has such a polarizing character. But I look forward to finally letting him speak at a Hall of Fame, which probably will be next year in New Orleans.
Right, and that was actually my next question. That was my next question. Do you think next year is his year?
Yeah. If he's retired, it's over. He's going into the Hall next year.
I mean, you look at it, too. It's in the arena that the streak was broken by Lesnar.
Yep.
All right, guys. So I think we covered a pretty good amount for this episode. I wish I would have wrote it down and got a little more programmed program. But I do have what I called back a couple weeks ago the hot topic of the week, and I wanted to get your guys' take. And I know we already started talking about it in the opening of the show, but I think it's time for Stubby's hot topic.
Hot topic.
Just another hot topic. All right, so with this week's hot topic, it is Roman Reigns. Joe, I know you said you had some facts for us on the Savvo N Stubby page in regards to the the relatability of where Roman Reigns really stands with the fan base, what his sales are like, and what the direction is that Vince is looking for from this guy. So I'll let you go ahead and start this off.
All right. So there was published articles this weekend, including up to today, that had to do with Roman Reigns in Forbes, of all places. Dave Meltzer was the first to report, and then Raj from WrestlingInc.com followed up, saying that Roman Reigns is now the lead full-time person in sales. I went in and did my research on everything because, as far as I knew, New Day was number one in sales. But according to this article, John Cena and Roman Reigns are number one. Cena's number one, period. But Cena's now classified as part-time. Roman's number one sales for full-time wrestlers. So what I found is that it's bullshit. The numbers they used to find these sales went by Google search results. Roman Reigns merchandise was the number one thing looked up for in search results. So now what they're trying to sell is that those search results led to sales. And that's not always the case. Just because people look things up and look at stuff, hell, I look at Roman Reigns stuff online.
Right, but in all fairness, prior to this, what was the methods they used to get the measurement before? Has it always been this?
WWE would usually just release it which they didn't do this year, like they did last WrestleMania weekend. Vince read the numbers off, which it was New Day.
So what does Vince gain from this then, falsifying that information?
Well, falsifying that information says that they want people to believe that Roman Reigns is the guy. It's the whole thing. I don't know if you guys took it too, but my brother texted me during Reigns' entrance and saying the boos in here are deafening. Did you hear the boos come across on TV? Very well. No, they shut off the crowd mics as usual to try to drown off some of the boos. Yeah, they came through a little bit, but the way that it was explained to me was, man, you couldn't hear anything as bad as the boos were for that guy, and yeah, it didn't come across like that on TV. So what? The casual fan sees that on TV and goes, oh, they don't really dislike this guy as much as they say they do. In that same article that I was talking about, they also said, even though all these people are booing him, they're still buying his stuff, and a majority of the crowd is wearing it. Again, another lie. You guys can both back up this statement on here and say, does it look like a majority of the crowd is wearing Roman Reigns gear?
Okay, whether or not they're wearing his gear, I mean, they still might be buying his stuff. John Cena has his stuff sold all the time, but he gets boos. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care if Joe Schmo or Jane Doe is wearing a Roman Reigns T-shirt. Them buying the T-shirt's not going to convince me that he's a good wrestler or he's a good character. I'm a Roman Reigns guy. T-shirt sales is not going to change that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you are one, and that's why I'm glad you're here, Stubby, because I can sit here and say that, not here like just trying to bash the guy, because let's be honest here. I don't like Roman Reigns as a wrestler. I don't think he has any talent. It's boring in the ring. Every time he gets in there, he unless he's in there with somebody like AJ Styles, it's a yawn to me. But I don't dislike the guy, Roman Reigns. He seems to come off okay. So I'm not like these guys who are like chanting the "fuck you, Roman" and stuff. I mean, to me, that's just a little childish. And come on, get over it.
Well, don't get me wrong. Roman Reigns doesn't fall in my top 10 best wrestlers either. I just like the gimmick. I like the character, and I like the amount of weight that this guy coming in is carrying on his shoulders for a company that saw something in him in the very beginning, and really just put him in the front seat.
What did they see? He got put in that position, and everything that's come out of the back about how he he got into the position that he's in comes from this one little thing. It comes from the Royal Rumble with Batista when they cheered him. And why was that? Why did they cheer him at that Royal Rumble? Because they didn't want Batista to win because of what? It was the feeling that WWE was trying to control the fans. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
So they booed Batista there. They cheered. It could have been anybody in that match, in that position, and they would have cheered the heck out of him like they did.
Well,
Everything goes back to that moment in time. That's going, oh my God, this is our next star.
Right, but he took a bullet for them, and I mean that's that whole hero complex. I respect the guy for the fact that he's taken the heat. I mean, you just put away the Undertaker, who was planning to leave anyway, but who else could have taken on that role and successfully taken the heat from it?
Personally, I think it should have.
Cena couldn't do it.
Go ahead.
Cena couldn't do it because if Cena did it, he'd come off as the biggest heel ever. Vince didn't want it. That's why he scrapped that match. Taker wanted Cena to end it for him.
I think it should have been, because if you look at the two retirements beforehand, it was somebody of comparable stature that ended the career of that person. So you look at it, Shawn Michaels ended Flair, Undertaker ended Shawn Michaels. It should have been John Cena.
Yeah, but can you honestly think?
But you're right.
The legitimacy behind.
No, you're right. I agree with you.
And you can't put someone like Triple H because Triple H can't put on a quality main event show anymore. So the only person that can really take that.
Has he ever really been able to?
No, but I mean,
I'm anti Triple H in the ring too.
And this is why I'm such a Roman guy. I mean, I don't voice, and Savvo said this on the page last night. He goes, "I never knew you were a Roman Reigns guy." I don't voice it because he's not one of those favorite wrestlers of mine. But just like Cena, I don't like the guy as a wrestler, but I can respect his work ethics and I respect the way that he handles business. Roman Reigns is the only guy on that roster that I can currently see that could take that role of putting the Undertaker over as retiring, taking the heat from it, and still be able to bounce back from it. And whether or not fans are booing or cheering for him, he's getting over.
Hey, don't give me the stop and the reaction thing. Again, that's taking away our voice. I'm sorry.
That makes you a yes man.
Makes you a sheep.
Makes you a yes man.
Makes you a sheep.
Because you just put it there. And see, my problem isn't even with Roman. Whatever. It's with the WWE. They do everything in their power to hide the truth.
Okay, so a fair question then. If you had to substitute Roman Reigns to end the Taker's career, who would you put in that spot?
I would have. It should have been Cena. But you're right. I agree with you already. I've agreed with you already.
Did you read the article?
On the fact that it would have been too much heat.
Did you read the article? Taker went to McMahon and asked him for that, and Vince turned it down.
Well, actually, they had it penciled in already. But that was before they knew that it was going to be his last match.
And
you're right. Vince is using Roman to take heat because he used it at the Royal Rumble to stop the booing of Randy Orton.
If you remember, if you remember during the feud, Cena even mentioned it to Miz. He goes, "If I really had as much pull as you say I do, I'd be facing Undertaker at Mania, not you."
Yeah.
So that was
pretty funny.
There was some realism behind that too. I mean, could Bray Wyatt? Bray Wyatt would have been another choice for me to end the Taker's career. But you know my angle on that. I think he should have became the new revival of the Taker. Took his spirit. If you're gonna make him a cult following and a dark character, why not end the Taker's career? Oh wait, that's right, because they had a match before and it sucked.
Well, let's talk about for a second, real quick. I'm sorry to get away from this, but I have to mention it. How terrible was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt on everything this week? Not just WrestleMania, but SmackDown and everything else.
Wait, before we get to that, let me wrap up the hot topic. I want to thank both of you guys for your input. I'm glad that you agreed, Joe, that I'm always right. I appreciate it.
Yeah, right. That would never happen.
But yeah, so yeah, that was.
You wanted to end Undertaker 10 years ago. So
I mean, end him in his prime, or not even his prime, on his decline. Punk should have ended it. We both had this talk about it before too.
But you said you were talking about Triple H ending it.
I mean, it's probably back when Triple H actually could close a pay-per-view. That was back in the day. But let's go ahead and close out this topic.
Was
all this commotion going on when Flair retired?
No, because everyone thought Flair should retire 20 years ago.
Yeah, but fucking Undertaker can't even walk. Don't you think he needs to retire?
Undertaker's also 6'8", 6'9". It's a big difference.
Okay, even more reason why his body is giving up, because he's so big.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for.
Let the guy fucking retire and go in peace.
I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for your input on the hot topic of the week. We are now going to go back to our regular programming.
Hot topic.
Hot. See, you got the blood boiling. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. So with that said, Joe.
Wait, let me see if I get this straight. You're a Roman Reigns guy, but he's not your top 10.
I'm a Roman Reigns character.
How does that make sense?
Well, I'm going to explain it to you. I don't think he can wrestle. Just like I don't think Lesnar can wrestle. I don't think Goldberg can wrestle. Cena can't wrestle.
How can you say Lesnar can't wrestle?
We've seen Lesnar in a match with Kurt Angle where it stole the damn show.
Yeah, 13.
Lesnar's a national champ, whatever. Call it collegiate wrestling and all that shit.
All right.
He may not wrestle like that anymore.
Well, let me educate you. Let me educate you. First of all, Angle and Lesnar was what, 13 years ago? Second of all, Kurt Angle even said himself that Brock Lesnar can't wrestle. He actually challenged him to a collegiate amateur style wrestling match, and Brock Lesnar had 90 pounds on him, and he still took him down. But with that said, when I was talking to Joe on Savvo and Stubby's group page last night, these people are not paid to be wrestlers, even if they can wrestle. I'm 100% sure that everybody on that active roster can wrestle, but that is not what Vince pays them to do. He pays them to be a character. Roman Reigns is in my top 3 characters of all time, but he is not in my top 10 wrestlers, is my argument.
Okay, I got that.
I agree with the part you're saying that they're not paid to be wrestlers or whatever. They're just paid to do their two moves or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with that.
So when you asked me,
at least Cena has 5.
Well, remember he threw in the botched stunner too, so he technically has 6.
Oh, okay.
But no.
No, I agree with you on the character because it's the Stone Cold theory. Steve Austin was a great freaking wrestler, but once he became Stone Cold, he was a brawler.
Exactly. He had no need.
Right, exactly.
He had no need to wrestle anymore because nobody wanted to see that.
That was the same example I used too.
Which he could still go out there with anybody and put on a damn good show. I don't see that in Roman Reigns.
All right. Well, let's get to your atrocity that you were talking about when it comes to Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. This feud needs to be ended. It needed to end months ago.
Shoot me. That was the boringest. I found Goldberg and Brock Lesnar more entertaining than Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt.
Well, here's the thing that got me too is why did they need those visuals in the ring when only the people at home can see it?
They might be able to see it on the Titantron.
Even then, what effect does it actually have on the match? I would have thought Sister Abigail would have been a better visual than a GIF file that they put in the ring of worms, crickets, and maggots.
And here we go. And then on Smackdown he comes out and he challenges him to a match that Orton has no idea what the hell it is. It could be him taking it up the butt for an hour without him knowing it. He just accepts it blindly. Like, what kind of thinking goes behind that? I challenge you to this. What the hell kind of match was it? And he just accepts it.
You know what would have been really cool?
Give me a break.
You know, if I was on the writing staff, you know what I would have done? Instead of making the whole ring lit up with a graphic like that, I would have picked like a corner of the ring and have it like a pile of dirt, and actually have Sister Abigail come out from the ring like she's coming out from the earth, and that's when you debut Sister Abigail.
See, that would have been cool.
Kind of like how when Big Show came out of the ring, when Stone Cold, remember how he ripped open the ring and came out from underneath? Have that be like her coming out from the earth and surfacing as Sister Abigail. I don't get the gimmicks. Nobody's buying it. This is a feud that nobody wants to see.
What is Sister Abigail gonna do?
Who knows?
What is her purpose?
Who knows?
Again,
if they actually put a body to it.
I'm starting to. Well, I think it should be Eva Marie, but anyways,
she's gone. Well, that's it.
Yeah, me too. But what I'm saying here is that Randy Orton is going the way of shit. He's getting worse than Roman Reigns, because at this point, I almost rather watch Roman Reigns than Randy Orton. Ooh, and that's saying something.
See, this is my thing too.
He still gets the cheers, though.
This is my thing, though, too. I feel like Randy Orton is now the new Dolph Ziggler. I feel like they've exhausted storylines for this guy. And he really doesn't seem like he wants to be there, to be honest with you.
No, he's getting paid.
He needs to go do a movie or something, disappear for a few months, reinvent himself. Or you know what he should do? You know what he should do? He should have a match against Seth Rollins and let Rollins injure him, because that's what Rollins is known for.
Tyler Black. That was his name in Ring of Honor. Sorry, it just came.
Yeah, like 45 minutes later. It's funny.
Black?
It's funny because I was thinking that too. I was thinking, I know it's something black, and I know it's like, is it Aleister Black? No, Aleister Black is now in NXT. I'll figure it out later. And then you just said it.
That's funny. So, yeah, it's just, maybe there was too much wrestling, but God, that was so boring.
Yeah, I mean, 7 hours for a Mania, plus 3 hours of a Raw, and 2 hours of a Smackdown. That's just way too much content. And then I was also hearing a stat that only 3.5 hours out of that 7 hours was actual wrestling. That's just too much. It's too much. And talk about curveballs, man. I didn't see any of the angles I thought I was going to see at Mania. No Shaq. No Big Show or Strowman winning the Battle Royal. The wedding proposal didn't play out the way we thought. The Hardys we knew were coming, but I thought they'd come through it as a better angle, not New Day coming out and pretty much calling them out. It's just, writing got lazy, again, in my opinion.
How were your predictions, Joe?
I didn't even go over them. I felt like I was pretty spot on. I'm guessing the match is right. There wasn't too much. The Hardys was a big surprise, obviously. And the SmackDown Women's title, I got wrong too. They went against Vince's rules, but I guess they're going to go continue with that because Bayley's not dropping that Women's title anytime soon.
I got two things for you. Number one, it looks like Vince's whole "you don't win it in your hometown" came to a screeching halt.
Well, that's what I just said.
And then number two, we all thought that Shane was going to do some kind of ridiculous spot at Mania.
Hell yeah.
There was nowhere to do it other than jump off when he jumped off the ring.
I thought he was going to climb up to that upper ring, the giant-sized ring on the top.
Too high.
But
that's way too high, dude.
The question that was brought up last week is how many spots were in that match?
I didn't count it. I'll have to go back and look. Maybe we'll talk about it.
Did you count?
Well, I don't know what you would consider a spot. Would you consider the table a spot?
Yeah, that's always his spot, and the garbage can thing is always his spot. But yeah, there was no major spots, like jumping, off the, from really high surface or whatever. But yeah, that one that you're saying, the ring up top, whatever, that was way too high. That would have been suicide.
Would you consider the coast to coast with the garbage can a spot?
Yep. Yeah, that's his thing. He always does that.
What about the?
That's his spot.
What about that flip? I can't. For some reason, I can't think of what it's called. The one where he missed and hit his knees.
I don't remember that part, to be honest. I don't know what. Yeah.
It's that front flip thing that he did off the top rope.
Oh, the one that basically ended the match?
Yeah, for some reason, I can't think of the name of the move. I can sit there and name the moves as the match is happening, but when it comes to, the podcast, I can never remember names, and I can never remember moves.
Well, I'll look at it back, and maybe we'll bring it up next week. Now we're just starting to sit on the situation.
Yeah, but so that's all I have for this episode. I don't know how you guys feel. If there's anything else you want to cover, or do we want to give credit to our sponsors, our listeners, and give a spot to where they can find us?
I feel like I got a lot of what I had to say out. Even though, me and you, we about to go at it with them hot spots there.
I love it. That's why I got to have a hot topic every week.
Did you guys happen to catch that video of Sasha Banks and Bayley? They had a challenge going. They were playing a video game, and whoever won the most games out of, I guess, out of 5 or whatever, they would have to eat two habanero peppers with sriracha on it.
No.
You guys haven't seen that?
No.
It was pretty fun. You guys can check it out if you can.
All right, so with that said, it's me, STUBB. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty man himself, Stubby.
Good night, guys. Have a great weekend.
Until next time, everybody.
And as always, you can find us on Spreaker. You can go to Google Play or the Apple Store, download the Spreaker app, click on the Savvo N Stubby Show. Boom, we're in your pocket. Boom, we're in your ear. Still waiting to hear back from Apple iTunes, but hopefully soon we'll be on the Apple iTunes Store. You can also find us on the Savvo N Stubby group page, or you can find us on my Facebook page. And again, I want to give a special thanks out to hopefully a permanent spot on the Savvo N Stubby Show, the original Joe. Thank you again for coming on the show, dude. It's always good to have an extra perspective.
I love talking wrestling, fellas. You guys know I love it, and I got a lot to say.
All right, Stubby out.